Hey folks, it's a nice Sunday afternoon, very breezy today. Sneezing my head off and dry throat because I guess the pollen's flying everywhere. I guess it's that way for y'all too, huh? No matter where you are. I was talking to my friend today and I said, does it seem like to you that interactions with people are not very satisfying anymore? And she said, well, tell me what you mean. And I said, well, it seems like, everybody that you interact with on the internet, not everybody, but a lot of people you interact with on the internet, it seems like all they do is they want to get the zinger in. They want to be snarky and rude, and that's all they stop by to do is just be snarky and rude. And if you make a comment on someone else's video, they'll jump all over you. And I said, I don't know. Is it the people are just, they're shallow? They're surface level only? What's going on? Or is it me? And she knew what I meant. And I was just talking about people. It's like, did you have to stop by to say that? Did you have to actually reply to me and say that? I wasn't being rude to you. I wasn't even talking to you. It's like they're unhappy and they want to be sure to spread that around. But anyway, we were talking about that, and I said, well, I told her about an interaction I had a couple days ago. I went to Walmart on a very rare visit. I usually order online, or I send my husband to go get stuff. If there's something he can't pick out that I think I need to be there, I will go, but I don't like to leave my property. I don't like to leave my chickens. And I don't want to put them in just to leave for an hour and come back. And it's not really safe to leave them out because now you got foxes and the coyotes soon are going to have their young, and they're going to be hunting relentlessly to feed all the new mouths. And I just don't want to leave. But I was in there a couple days ago, and we were nearing the end of the trip. And I said, oh, well, we got to get some hot dogs. So we eat some all beef hot dogs. Every once in a while, if there's nothing else, I'll eat an all beef hot dog, right? I mean, just the hot dogs on the plate with whatever condiment I want, but just that's it. No buns. We don't eat bread. So I picked up a package of hot dogs, and it was $8.97. And I said, hot dogs are almost $9 a package? I said, that's insane. And I hear to the right of me and off to back of me and off to the right, I hear somebody say, you got that right, or something like that. And I turn around and there's this really nice gentleman who's gray-headed. He looks like he might be in his early 70s, had a baseball cap on. And he said, but we need somebody else in the White House. And I said, yes, we do. And I said, but really, what I'm thinking about is, even if Donald Trump is reelected, if he lives to be reelected, and he serves another 4 years, I said, after that, what's going to happen after that? I'm thinking way ahead. And he said, well, maybe he can turn it around in the time he has, And I'm thinking, well, and he said something about the next loser is going to get in there, right? So he said, what we need my governor. We need Ron DeSantis. So he was from Florida. A lot of people up here are from Florida. And we just had a nice conversation. And, then he initiated it. So it was just really nice. And I told my friend that, and she said, something similar happened to me a couple of weeks ago. She talked to a guy who was like 95 years old, and he was talking about his wife that died 2 years ago, and they've been married 72 years. And she said he was very interesting to talk to. And I said, I think that's the problem today. I see people as very surface level, very shallow. They don't have any depth at all to them, and definitely not their character. And I know a lot of really upstanding people with a lot of integrity. At least that's what I think. I feel about them. I haven't met a lot of these people in person from my channels, but that's my Lady Hawk and I met is through backyardchickens.com and the internet, and then we became very close. But I just think people certain generations have a little bit more depth. They, that's the generation that would still read books. We read books now. I mean, I still read. I love to read. I have a physical book. I don't enjoy the Kindle so much. I don't actually have a subscription to a Kindle. I have a Kindle that I sometimes can download free books to read on if I want to. But I prefer the feel of a book in my hand. And, and when I was a kid, and when I was, I guess, elementary school almost, I would go to the library and I would come back with 8 or 9 books and I'd read them in a week and I'd take the whole stack back and get a whole bunch more. And there was never quite enough to read. People today don't do that. They just don't do that. That's why I'm such a good speller. That is why I can write a coherent sentence, is because I just have I've read things properly, written properly, not internet slang and shorthand, which half the time I have to look up to see what they're talking about. But I don't know. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about how people today, many of them, don't seem to have any depth at all? Definitely not of character, but just any depth. They have no creative interest whatsoever. I mean, people don't have to quilt or crochet, but they can make jewelry. They could do something where they create something with their hands, and then they have accomplished something, and they can be proud of it. And they can wear it themselves, or they can give it to somebody, or they can start up a small business. Like my son started up a business with his leatherwork, and I really would love to see him make a real go of it so he can leave Amazon, which he absolutely detests. But anyway, I just wondered if you were seeing the same thing about in general with people. It's like, why did I deserve for you to talk to me like that? I didn't say anything to you bad. And when I talk on the camera, I'm not talking to specific people. I'm talking in generalities. And I know there are always exceptions. Do I have to make a disclaimer? There are always exceptions to the rule, right? There always are. So if I was talking one-on-one to some of these snarky people, who probably wouldn't be that snarky if we were face-to-face, I could have a civil conversation, but could they? I have my doubts. So anyway, and I was, we were talking about all the things that we're having to spend money on right now. I keep thinking, I can't imagine having debt and a giant house payment right now, because all the things that pop up that you have to be dealt with, like our new heat pump, there's always something that has to be replaced or money spent on. And every time I'd say, well, honey, we have to so-and-so, and he'd say, put it on the list. I said, maybe we should write an actual list, because that list is kind of vague and nebulous, and you can forget what's on it, and it helps if you look at it in person. So I actually made a brief little list, and I brought my list. But we had financial goals. The main one was to pay off the mortgage before we kicked the bucket, and I wanted to enjoy a few years of no mortgage, right? And of course, with a house that's 30 years old, there's going to be some repairs, like the heat pump. So that was paid off the mortgage a couple of years ago. Threw a lot of money at it, money that had built up in my personal savings account for a while, and I just left it there because it was supposed to be for something like that. And so I started throwing money out of that account at the mortgage, and it's been paid off for a couple of years now. And when I paid off my mortgage, my homeowner's insurance went down by $200 a year, which I was surprised at, happy about, but very surprised at. But and we've gotten an estimate from the guy about the roof cleaning. There's a lot of black streaks, and there's a lot of moss growing. The moss in certain areas is getting kind of thick because we're right under trees. The trees weren't that big when the guy built this house 30 years ago, but now the trees are massive oaks, and they keep dropping limbs on the roof, and it shades it out in the summer, that kind of thing. So it needs a cleaning. And I've never had a roof cleaned before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. And I didn't know, I knew it was to be per square foot of roof area. I knew it was to be that. but considering that our porch roofs alone on the 4 sides probably equal almost the same amount of roof as there is in the gable part, the main body of the roof. So I didn't know how much it was going to be. So the guy didn't get back to us for a while. And then Tom finally sent him a message and said, did you ever get an estimate for us? Did you have a number for us about the roof cleaning? And the guy gets back to us and he says it's $1,125. Well, the average roof size in this country is about 1,700 square feet of roofing. And I said, well, that seems a little high to me, but, you know, I mean, he's going to do it the safe way. No high pressure washing. They spray it with a chemical that kills the stuff, and then they do a soft wash. It's basically rinsing things off of the roof. And then he said, this one's probably going to have to be treated twice. And that's all included in the $1,125, right? So, I said, ask him how many square feet did he come up with for this roof? Because apparently what they do is they do use something to do with Google Earth, and it takes the area of this roof and then it flattens it out like it's flat, and then adds up, it calculates the roof square footage. And ours was over 2,400. I went, oh, no wonder it's that high. Because the average was supposed to be a little less than that, but we have a lot of roofing because of this porch. So I said, let's go ahead and do it, because I mean, it needs to be done. Even if we have to have our new roof soon, they're going to have to clean all that moss and stuff off of it. And there's still a leak right up there on the porch, but I'm sure it's the flashing that the renovation crew did not do very well. So if I can get somebody, clean it off first, then get somebody to repair that leak. So that's not done, but the mortgage is paid off. The heat pump is in and paid for. My husband had to have car repair. His brakes, the rotors, calipers, everything on the brakes was, and the bolts were almost rusted through. It was pretty much shot, and they were, it was really dangerous. This is a local family-run mechanics place that they do oil changes and brakes mainly, and tires, and you can usually trust what they tell you. But he said, come back and look at these bolts. He said, this is scary, you know. So that came to actually a lot less than it would some places. And then we actually I said, well, while he's doing that, have him do an oil change. And he did that. And on the way, when I was following him out there, I stopped when we got to the place, and he was going to get the car with me and come home while they fixed it. He said, I said, your left brake light is out. I don't know what's going on, but your left brake light's not working. So he had to go look at that. It was a short in the wiring. So all that together came up to be like $590 something. But that's paid for, right? And we need a new tub and vanity in our bathroom, it's not the only bathroom, but it's the only one in the main floor, and it's the one we use all the time. And the acrylic tub and shower surround is all one piece, and it's getting chips in it, right? So it's getting really worn out after 30 years. So we need to have that done, and need a new vanity. My husband and I did a vanity ourselves, and we put marine polyurethane on it, and it was good for a lot of years, and it's starting to peel. The polyurethane's peeling off now, and we need to replace that. So that's going to be rather expensive. The tub's going to be more expensive than the vanity. We could do the vanity. I don't want him to try to do the tub. So that's going to be that. And we've already ordered another half cow for the freezer. The pickup is going to be June 14th. And you have to send in a couple $100 deposit to hold your place. And, this is our food. This is most of our food. So we're just buying ahead. So we ordered a half cow. And so June 14th, we're going to have to pay probably another $1,700 or so. If the cow is bigger that they process than normal, it'll be a little bit more, but that's okay. This is more meat, right? So there's that. But remember now, the mortgage is already done. The mortgage is paid off. The heat pump is done. The car repair is done. The roof cleaning and repair is going to be, $1,000 or so. Not the repair, but the cleaning of it, the intense cleaning of it, and the moss removal. And then, I'm thinking after that, the dryer we have is probably 15 years old, and it makes this horrible squealing noise when it starts up. So that one's probably going to have to be replaced soon. We're having trouble with the eye on the gas stove. It doesn't want to light half the time. And that's the stove that was the replacement for the stove before the fire. So, that's going to have to be replaced. The water heater, our electric water heater, is now on about year 16 or 17 of a 12-year warranty. Thank goodness we put a sediment filter on there. I think that's going to extend the life of it. But all those 3 appliances could wear out all at once. And I always tell people that sometimes you need to forego things you just want, that you don't really need, that you just want, and occupy your mind so you forget what you're wanting. Occupy your mind with something creative. I mean, write something, doodle in a book, draw pictures, write stories, do something creative that keeps your mind occupied, so you're not always thinking about what you can't have and what you really want that you don't think you can afford, that kind of thing. But this is why I'm so happy that we were able to forego a lot of the extra garbage most people think are necessities over the years. I've never owned a new car, don't plan to own a new car. I've told you that before. That's why we're repairing the old ones. Who can afford them anyway? And I don't want anything with the OnStar garbage in it. I don't want anything with the trackers in it. I don't want any of that. So anyway, I don't know if we're going to have to buy a new car. We may. That will probably take a payment, and I don't really want to do that. I want to build back up my coffers after all these expenditures, and all these expenditures are not, we're not going into debt for any of that. That is what, the peace of mind that when something like that happens, you can actually know the money's there, and it's not going to be a burden on your family. And my husband wants to hold on to the money because he grew up poor and always in financial crisis in his family. And I said, look, honey, okay, when we were young, we used to watch our bank book. If we had to spend anything or wanted to spend anything, we had to really assess and think really hard about it. And we usually end up having to go into debt for something, a credit card or a personal loan. We had to do that. Now we're looking, I pulled out the bank book for a different reason, to show him that we can spend money on something that really needs to be done, like this roof cleaning and repair and the heat pump. And I said, if you see the account balances here, you see that we can do this, and it's not going to hurt. So that's why I show him the bank book these days, and that's a really good feeling. I just want you to have it. And I know people won't listen to me. They just want what they want. I know that, but I can't help but try to spread the word about the peace of mind. It's really something else. And it's the same thing with prepping, preparing for stuff. You need to do that. Now, see, another thing we just bought 2 more solar panels, and I'm probably buying 4 more. We're pulling up a lot beefier solar array and arrangement. We have, the controllers and the inverters and all that. We just need more panels, and we need the frame to put them on in a different location than the satellite dish, which I don't feel like is that secure in a way. But we're doing that too. But so when we were buying last solar panel, the guy behind us said, "Oh, that's a good price." He says, "I've been thinking about doing that." I said, "You might want to do that pretty soon." You might want to. And he said, "Yes, I know." So prepping is kind of like that. If you go ahead and make sure that you're adding to your prepper pantry, as they want to call it, or preparedness-minded person pantry, then you know that if something happens and we go under martial law, you will be able to eat. You won't have to worry about it. That's the thing. You won't have to worry about it. So it applies to everything. It applies to everything. And some of the worst things I see now are people who, they don't have good enough credit to have a credit card, or they don't have much balance on their credit card, and they end up with these programs where it's, the things, I forgot the names of them because I don't ever use them. You pay 4 months, 4 equal payments instead of cash, and you put this on that kind of payment plan. That's like the worst thing you could ever do. And what happens to the next thing you want that you don't have the money for? You go put that on a payment plan too, and next thing you know, your payment plans are going crazy. Even if you don't have a credit card. So I just wish people would get a hold of that. I was out there today, made breakfast, got a roast in the crock pot for supper, went out there to chop up elderberries. My friend says the chicken, her chickens, the deer ate down her elderberries to nubs. And I said, can I borrow your deer? Because mine won't eat them. I need them to eat them. So we're going to have to resort to vegetation killer on some of that. But it's fenced off from the chickens. So maybe that'll be okay. But, you know, I got out there and did that. And I got out there and watered the garden because we're not supposed to have rain for a couple days. And so we've got all this stuff going on. I found another climbing rose. I got a blaze. I was in Walmart and I said, let's see if they got any roses, any climbing roses. And I went back there and they had knockout roses, which I don't want. And they had something else. I think it's called Home Run or something, a different line of roses. I didn't want those. I wanted a climber. And I found one. They have literally one climbing rose. Not one variety, but only one plant. And I said, well, I didn't want red, but it's mine. So, you know, beggars can't be choosers. So I went ahead and took it. And it's going to be gorgeous. The Blaze is a big climber. I climb up to 14 feet and 10 feet wide. It may take over that trellis. I can get cuttings off of it, though. You know, you can grow roses from cuttings. So I got that, thinking, well, you know what? Sometimes you just have to go with the flow. You can't be too picky about certain things. You have to just get what you can get, and that's what I could get. And it was like $9.95. It's a really good price. So hopefully I'll be able to show you some roses soon. But yeah, I was just thinking about all this stuff. These people spending money they don't need to spend, using payment plans they should not get involved with. Oh God, don't even talk about payday loans. I won't even go there. Anybody who's working on payday loans, it needs a serious revamp of their finances and their mindset. And you know that people are, if you try to offer some kind of encouragement or help with some of this stuff, they get really snarky with you. And you know, I mean, some people you're just never going to reach. And then there's the two men that my friend and I both met in separate grocery stores in separate cities, and had really pleasant conversations with. And she said he was a really interesting guy, you know. So, you know, that was the bright spot in my week, is meeting somebody that, you know, he's from Florida. You grew up out of the Floridians coming up here and staying and living half a year and not paying their half year taxes. They'll say they have a vacation home, but they don't stay in it for 2 weeks a year. They'll come up here and stay for 6 months, and they're supposed to owe half your taxes to my state. But oh no, you think they pay that? No, most of them try to get away without that. But you know, anyway, he was really adamant that Ron DeSantis would be a really good choice because he don't put up with no guff. And I thought, you know, I said, well, you know, he would be a pretty good choice, I think. Yeah, I mean, other than Trump, you know, I think he might be a viable candidate. So. Anyway, he was very pro his own governor for sure. I don't know about how pro I am on my governor. It's like sometimes he seems like he's okay, and other times he's like, what did you just do? But they didn't ask me. So that's all I was going to talk about. And you know, this list of repairs, I was looking at this list and I'm going, my gosh, this is like probably $10,000 worth of repairs. And I don't know, the having somebody put in a bathtub may be more than that. Normally my husband and I could have done it ourselves, but he can't be lifting things like that. So probably we're going to have somebody else do it. If I can get somebody to work. If the other guy we were getting the estimate from, when the first guy didn't get back to us right away, the second guy had made an appointment on Friday, this last Friday, to come in the morning. We waited and waited and waited. He never showed up. He never called. My husband finally contacted him where he had put up the ad, and he said, gee, I'm sorry we couldn't meet. Too bad you didn't even give me a call to let me know you weren't coming or had a problem. So, you know, don't bother contacting me. You think people who had a business they were trying to keep going, they would at least have a little decency to contact the customer to say, look, I can't make it today. We're going to have to postpone it. I have to come next week, something like that. But no, they can't be bothered to do that. And if they can't be bothered to do that, I'm not hiring them. Just not. So, I want to let you go. It's been 25 minutes, and that's getting too far along in the evening, and I need to go and check on my chickens. So, I'll catch y'all later. Comments? Hello? Tell me what you think about any of this. But you know what? We're just going to, us people who knows what we're doing, we're just going to keep on keeping on. We're just going to keep on keeping on. And we're going to ignore the naysayers and the rude people. The old song that was it, what was the thing with the Tanner family, that old sitcom where Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen played Michelle, the little girl. Gosh, had Candace Cameron in it, I think. And one of the middle child, the middle daughter, Stephanie, she'd always say, "How rude, how rude." And I'm thinking, every time I see somebody do this, throw out the snark, and I think, "How rude, how rude." Thanks for that, Stephanie. Catch y'all later. Bye. Have a great night.